Recording? Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Believers Club. As you can see, we're together this time, and my name is Serena. This is Harj. And we're here with another topic. And you guys must know by now, we've been talking about starting our journey on a later end of our note of aging, and we wanted to talk about benefits of drawbacks of starting late in life on whatever journey that you're starting: entrepreneurship, starting a business, starting to work, anything, saving, whatever it is. What are the benefits and drawbacks of doing that in life? And we just wanted to share a few things that I personally, and then Harj will give her opinion on it. So hopefully you stick around and let us know what you think as well.
Awesome. Okay, so starting late in life, and that is something in itself that is different for everybody, because some people start over at 40, some people start going back to school at 50. So age, honestly, it's a number, and it's something that can be, it can mean different things to different people. For us, we really just started to discover what it is that we liked, what it is that we loved, some of the things that we want to pursue. I know for me, it was like late 20s, like towards the end, like 28, 29, and then really kicking it up in my 30s.
Yeah. For me, I feel like the biggest benefit of starting in life that I think helped me was that I was just mature enough to look at shit with a different lens than I would have in my teens. And that's kind of the biggest blessing that I think, that I'm glad that I waited till I waited, even though I lost out on a lot of time or the effort that I could have put in earlier years. But I feel like what I got over the years and just learned from my experiences really led me down a path of like, I had done everything else, and what is going to make me happy, because I'm not happy. I've always tried to do different things, and none of it worked. So what was going to be makeup was the thing. I've always talked about it. It's always been that spark in the back of my mind, and like I just kept like shutting that shit off for no reason, just because I kept thinking I wasn't capable of doing it. And obviously with that, you pass on the years. And at 25, 26, sitting at a job, miserable, realizing like, what do I want to do with my life? And
and I think, like, I've always been a huge believer that it's never too late to turn your shit around. I think that at any age, when you wake up and you say to yourself, there's actually more that I want to do, there's actually something else I want to pursue, I never think it's too late.
No, for sure. You can't. For sure. And I think with age comes experience. So getting on this journey in my late 20s was challenging, because especially like in my culture or in my home, even like entrepreneurship isn't really what's pushed onto you. It's like go to school, and that's what I was surrounded with too. It was like go to school, get a job, and that's pretty much it. So it really, I didn't have any motivation around me to even push it, let alone my own motivation. So
I think, okay, what are some of like the advantages do you think there are to starting over, whether it's in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and if you're fucking lucky enough, 100? What's the positive of still starting?
You'll notice I am looking down because I have my notes, but I think the first one that I have down is pretty much like starting late in life is that you have gone through more life experiences. And what you would have known as a teen, you've just developed 10 times, and it's you just apply shit completely differently. Like I have pointers down too, but that's like the biggest one. I feel like you've gone through more life experience.
And you know what, it's interesting because people think that their life is over at like 40 years old or 50 years old, and they think, well, what's the point of starting something new now? And I'm thinking, what's the point of not starting? Because we have such limited views of how long we think we're going to be here. And I'm going to show you something. So someone did this, like showed me something once and really put into perspective. And she held her arm like this, and she was like, listen, like if you're like, this is your lifespan.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you think that, you know,
Yeah.
you look at your lifespan, this is when you're born, this is when you're, let's say 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever.
Mhm.
And what happens is like we hit here, let's say this is 35 or 40,
Mhm.
and we're like, oh man, like it's so late in life to start something now, but they don't realize that, hello, you got this whole amount of life left to live.
Yeah.
Why not, like, why not give up whatever this little part is that you've like lived and worked on, to be able to live happy for the rest of your life, right? Like
Yeah.
it's we don't know how much time we have, and the worst feeling in the world that could ever exist, in my opinion, is the feeling of regret, is the feeling of being so late in life that we look back and realize that we never lived for ourselves,
Yeah.
because we always doubted. The only reason I think so many people don't pursue the thing that they pursue and they get to a later age is, one, they think that they're going to fail, and two, they think that people are going to make fun of them and that they don't actually have the freedom that they truly do have. We're always one
Mhm.
decision away from being able to live freely. Um, and it's just crazy to me that we have to consider ourselves risky in order to take those plunges, when really it should just be like, who's really making up these rules here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, and like the whole what you just showed, that it really took me to what I struggled with a lot, which really benefited me in the long run, was patience. We always wanna give up because we don't think we have. It's like sometimes you gotta be patient with yourself in how hard you're working. If you're not working the amount of work you gotta put in to achieve the dreams that we want, which is a lot of work, like any journey, entrepreneurship or whatever you're starting, these are not easy journeys. You discover so much about yourself and how much work you put in and how much work you don't put in. But it's like you gotta be patient as much as you gotta be really going at it with your full force, whatever you're trying to get to, with like actual genuine feeling of wanting to achieve, starting a business or whatever it is, at whatever age. But and you're more aware of yourself. I feel like you've gone through more, even if you're working on being more aware of yourself, you're on a path of, it's a long journey of that discovery. And I feel like you've got a head start. So you're already ahead in life because you've gone through more experiences generally, unless you're not an open-minded person, then you will struggle. But if you are, you're going through some shit daily, and hopefully it's just making you evolve. And that's like the biggest benefit, I feel, like that you can have your mindset and all that.
And I think when you start something later in life, if it's something you've been wanting to do for a while and you actually do it, I think there's more confirmation that you really want it. Like when I was in high school, I told myself I've always wanted to work in psychology. I've always wanted to be a counselor. It's something that I just knew. And I didn't pursue it because as soon as I went into college and university, I just started to think about whether I was going to make it, whether I was going to commit to this long road that it was going to take to get to that goal, whether I was going to be able to stick it out, whether it was going to meet the timelines that I had for other things. And I just messed around and started doing different programs and did marketing and kind of went a totally different direction. And now here I am at 31 years old, and I'm looking back and I was like, shit, why did I do that? Like, I wanted to still do psychology and I still want to do psychology. And so now I'm like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to pursue that, even though I'm 31, and I'll be done at like 37 because it's a long road. But at the end of the day, you're still going to turn that age. Like, I read this quote that said, if you're worried about your timeline or how old you're going to be, you're going to turn that age regardless. Like, you're not going to be able to stop yourself from turning 37. So why not be 37 with your goal?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that hit me, and I was like, you know what? This is the most bullshit thinking I've ever done. And at the end of the day, the fact that I still want to pursue this thing means that I actually want it. So now when I go back to school, I'll be hella focused on it.
Yeah.
Because I know for sure this is what I want to do.
You're going to look at it with a completely different lens, because you've come to that point of being solidified in your decision. You know what I mean? And that's a great benefit. Like, instead of looking at it as like a downfall, like, oh, no, that's a blessing that you get to do that. Because at the end of the day, none of us control life could be fucking gone tomorrow. So why not spend each day doing or investing in what you want to do, or even just watching more of what you want to see and what you actually want to do for yourself. And
go
like,
out and test the world. You
got to try shit to really get somewhere, and that's the only way you'll be able to realize like what you're capable of, and no matter what age you're at.
But 13, this is the moment when people then start to come up with every excuse in the book as to why they can't do it.
Of course.
They want to test the world, they want to go out, they want to try a bunch of things, but like, they're busy. They're too busy. They've got too much going on, or how are they going to find the money to do it? There's nothing wrong with being in your 30s or 40s and taking out a damn student loan. There is nothing wrong with working 2 jobs, 3 jobs to make shit happen.
Well, make sure you're working 3 jobs. You got to pay that loan off. That's for sure. Straight up. Because you gotta really carry that on your shoulders. You can do anything there's so much support. Like you said,
but don't let it be the reason why you don't do what it is that you want to do. Like, there's always,
do your best to do everything for yourself.
There's always a way. There's always a way. There's people that have kids that are like juggling a million things, but they find the hours in the day to make it happen. And I know sometimes that's a tough pill to swallow, because people are like, well, you don't know my circumstance. Trust me, there's people in your circumstance, and probably even much worse, that are pulling it together. Right? It's like, what are you willing to sacrifice to make your dream come true? And someone asked me this question once. They asked me, close your eyes and imagine, what would you do if there was no chance that you could fail? If there was no risk of failure, and there was 100% guaranteed you were gonna win, what is it that you would do? Mm-hmm. And then when you come up with that answer, that's the thing that you got to do. And you can't accept failure as an option. You just got to go all in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you got to be really comfortable with being uncomfortable now, because that's going to be your journey when you want to put yourself out there. You got to get really used to being uncomfortable, because your strengths will be tested. But I feel like that's another benefit of being, as your age, these are strengths that hopefully you can relate to it, because the things that were usually negative, they're helping me actually find my strengths now as I'm getting older, which is great. And that's what I'm trying to focus on. And being uncomfortable was one thing. Like, I don't like being uncomfortable. I'll take my ass out of a situation real quick. But testing that uncomfortability, I feel like that's where I have learned the most about my strengths. Mm-hmm. As I've gotten older, and like, I've been testing them for a while, and 2020 has been a rough ass year. Like, everyone's been tested this whole year to this motherfucking day. We're not even done yet. We got 2 months left, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
2 months is fucking, we'll breeze through this.
But this year really put me through a lot of soul searching. Like, I feel like everyone's been going through soul searching. People are starting so many businesses. Like, people are starting to explore things and just put themselves out there, which is amazing. And like, why not take the opportunity we all have? Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's what it's about too. As you go through life, you realize, like, and we all kind of had to just sit the fuck down. So nobody could do anything but to really reflect on themselves and their household, and just what's happening around them and what kind of energy they keep around them. So it really, out of that uncomfortability and gone through all this shit that we are going through and gone through, I feel like a lot of us have found our strengths out of it. So that's amazing to go through as well. While having a pandemic, we're trying to do businesses and trying to make money and support ourselves and support what our causes are and whatever it is.
But there's a lot of people that are going through the pandemic with us who are not taking it that way. And I think that's okay. Like, if you needed 2020 to really force yourself to have a break, that's okay. Yeah. If you needed it to really, like,
if you've gone your whole life and you didn't take a break,
Even if you didn't go your whole life and you just had a rough couple years,
there you go.
You need like whatever your reason is to stop for a bit. That's fine. Because I know that there's a lot of people out there that are like, if you didn't take advantage of 2020 and the obstacles, you're a failure. Like no, you did what you had to do. However, do ask yourself, are you someone that typically when there's adversity or challenges, do you cave? Do you crumble? Do you kind of like step aside, or do you typically take the reins and like try to fight the bull? And if you don't, maybe this is your chance to do it, right? Because nobody is going to fight harder for your life than yourself. Now when we talk about like the disadvantages to starting later at life, what are some of the things that come up for you?
Downfalls. I feel like you don't know shit until you know something, and you realize that at every age. I'm at my age where I am. Every year, every day, I'm learning something new. So at times you may think because you're at a certain age, you know more shit.
You know shit.
But you don't know shit. Like we learn daily, and that's what it's about. Hopefully you're picking up on things around you and just trying to evolve in a positive way instead of just letting yourself go down a negative path. But I feel like that's the downfall that a lot of people feel. With age comes wisdom. But it's not with age. Wisdom doesn't just apply to you because you're 50 years old, you know more shit. No, it really comes with open-mindedness, and you gotta really apply your experiences to your life before you try to put it on other people, and just have an outlook where you're not judgmental. And I feel that's a continuous work. We all do all those things, and that's one thing I feel like every day I'm trying to work on, and not just focusing on what the fuck I gotta do and how much work I have to put into what I want to do for myself and the businesses I'm trying to start, whatever it is I'm trying to do. Anything, I gotta focus on it first. Don't go to other people. Don't look to other people don't look for handouts. Always look at it from your perspective, and you have to put in the work at the end of the day. Only, like she said, you are in control of your life, and like only you can put in the work. So I feel like that's the one thing that it's been a continual work that I, with age, you kind of think you know shit, but.
And I mean, like, you might have experience because
of course,
like we all go through things at a certain point in life. Maybe you know more than you did when you were 20, but that doesn't mean that there isn't room for more learning.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
it's
always.
Like, it's never a good idea at any age to be a know-it-all. But I think
because you're not you're not. You can't. You're just.
And what Serena said was so on point, because it's like, and I've personally felt this way too. You feel like the older you get, the less coachable you become, because you're like, I already know this.
Yeah.
I already know this. Like, shut up. Like,
they say you should be a student of life.
You should be a student of life always. And just, I think like it's important to acknowledge what you've experienced and the lessons you've learned, and then be open. Be open for more. I honestly don't feel like there's a lot of all of like the quote unquote disadvantages to starting later in life. I think are actually all kind of advantages at the same time.
We just look at them like disadvantages.
I don't know. Like I think that the disadvantages are what society tells us are disadvantages, but I don't think that they truly are. I think they're fears. I think that they are things that we question that hold us back, but I don't see any disadvantages.
Yeah, I feel like, to that point, pretty much, I think other people's opinions on what you're trying to do, if you let that stop you, that's a disadvantage of letting someone else's fucking opinion on your life at any age, 50, 80, I don't care how, like, you could, whatever age and whatever it is that you want to do. Like, some people, sometimes we don't do certain things because it's not appropriate according to our household or whatever it is. Like, especially into arts and things like that. We judge people that go into arts a lot. You know what I mean? Or like, even we've talked about so many, if you've seen our episodes before, we've talked about when you posted about the coaching part. It's like the people commenting like, oh, everyone's a coach nowadays. Like, people think it's like too saturated to do shit.
There's room for everybody.
There's room for everybody at any age. because someone's always going to relate to someone else completely differently, and you're going to find people that relate to you, that relate to myself, to Harj, completely at a different pace. So we're all needed for each other at the end of the day. But
100%.
yeah, like people's opinion, if you let that shit get to you and stop you from doing what you want to do, you will give up on life. You will give up on life eventually, and you will just settle.
People that say that are people that are just so limited. You never want to be a limited thinker.
Yeah.
Like, don't be a limited thinker. I think one of those things about starting later in life is like, be prepared that there might be kickback of like, oh my God, people are going to start giving their opinions on your decision.
Yeah.
And it might be the flip side. You might be in a situation where a lot of people support you. I'm in a situation where, you know, I decided I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to commit to this journey. And I had a lot of support.
Yeah.
I had a lot of, nobody told me, oh my God, you're going to be 38 when you graduate. Like, you're going to be so old and da da da. I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah.
That was in my head. That was in my head. That was my own thinking of like, oh my God, like, how are you going to do this? But I told my mom was like, okay, go for it. I told my family, they were like, yeah, we thought like you should have done this the whole time. Like, go for it, do it. Like, you might as well. Right. And so if you're in that situation, like, understand that sometimes the thoughts just might be your own.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you're your biggest critic. So you'll stop yourself before people ever will. Yeah. But yeah, it's a continuous work.
And you'll tell yourself it's people and it's society when really
sometimes it's just you. Yeah, you gotta.
Maybe you are the problem. And
it all starts with you.
Yeah,
like we said, it all starts with you. So if you don't do that, confirm that you want to completely go in, then you're gonna let other shit get to you and make you think that you don't want to do what you want to do.
There are other things that I want to do that I like hesitate because everyone around me says don't do it, and I will admit that it takes me longer to make decisions when that happens. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to. So you just have to like.
Yeah. It's work in progress. That's another thing. Patience. Back to, you got to be patient. Like, I'm continuously working on everything that I'm trying to do. It's a slow process, and I'm liking my process because it's working for me. And when I can speed up, I'll speed at my own pace. And you gotta do what's best for you. Again, it all starts with you. So it's in your control to do whatever you want to do. Or create for yourself, and then, you know, put it into the world and universe and let that shit shine. And
totally,
whenever, at any age.
And I think if you got to ask yourself like two questions. One, is this going to make me happy? And two, am I hurting anybody?
Yeah.
And most likely the answers are going to be, yes, this is going to make me happy. Otherwise you wouldn't be thinking about it. And two, I'm not hurting anybody. Yeah. And if you are hurting somebody, like, ask yourself if you truly are, because
back to intention.
Yeah. In most cases you're probably not. You just got to figure out a plan.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like
what I have. That's like, pretty much it, guys. Like, maybe we'll do part 2 one day, but
your dreams.
Pursue your motherfucking dreams for sure. It like, that's like it's a thing 50. It's a cliche thing to say, but it truly, it took me a while to get to that point. And luckily, like, I ended up asking myself that question. I'm like, thank God, you know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta thank yourself too, like, yo, good you fucking like confirmed whatever you thought about. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just purchase $2,000 worth of makeup, and my life changed, and like, I got on a different path.
I would rather be starting something when I'm 50 years old and be fucking happy at 60 than to think about something at the age
continuously,
than to think of something at the age of 50 and be like, I'm 50, I can't do it, and then still be thinking about that at 60.
That's the thing.
Fuck that shit.
I thought about that shit for 15 years, and I finally, after 15 years, well, probably 10 years of continuously thinking like I wanted to do it. Thank God. Thank you for
make the move, make the decision, make the choice, and just run with that shit.
Run with that shit. Thank yourself and fucking be grateful for everything you have, because life is short. So you gotta chop it up by each day. Each day, do something that you love. Yeah. And that's it, man. That's all it's about.
We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure that you like this video, subscribe to our channel, share this with anyone that you think might need to hear this, because we all have that one person that's like, we just want to like shake a little bit. Send this to them and let us know any feedback, any thoughts. We drop a new episode every Wednesday.
And if you made it this far, know that we're going through a change, and so we're gonna start to hopefully incorporate more of these actual in person instead of doing our Zoom calls. Getting through this pandemic, guys. So hopefully we have it all situated. So don't mind the lighting. Lighting might be fucked up. Hopefully you stuck around to hear me say this. But yes, we appreciate you so much for tuning in.
Cheers.
Bye.